Dude, I love this.
All right, we're recording now.
All right. Make that big as well. Son of a gun. Okay. So we're going to start over again. This way we got it officially, recorded. So I'm just going to go ahead and just open this up by just saying that I'm with Obeth Davia, and he's a new salesperson working for an insurance company. And we onboarded Obeth and used the sales hire DISC assessments. And what I'm going to be doing today is going over the DISC assessment. And in the first coaching call out of 2 coaching calls that Obeth will get from sales hire. So I am a certified personality profile expert with People Keys, which is one of the largest DISC assessment companies in the world, period. I have worked with over 12,000 DISC assessments, and I'm also know how to read these DISC and how to bring out the signature strengths that are inside a salesperson, and also looking at what we call the blind side or the blind area, or what they call the signature strengths. These are the areas where we need to work on in order to make a person a well-rounded salesperson. So the very first thing I want you to look at, Obeth, and of course we're starting over, so we're going to retrack a few things, is that you're going to see below your name is a style called Inquire, SBC.
Okay.
So the very first word in that is called an inquirer, and then we're going to use the definition of inquirer is that you like to inquire. That means you need to know about what's that person's talking about before you can actually make a decision in your mind to actually answer that customer back. So if you could go ahead and just read the 8 traits of a salesperson back right now.
Okay. Yep, I got them right here. The first one is approachable.
Yes.
Second one is inquisitive listener. Third one is quick thinker. Fourth is persuasive conversationalist. 5 is self-starter. 6 is innovative thinker. 7th, ability to read people. And number 8, resilient.
Okay, so the one that we decided was the one that closely resembles the inquirer is number 2.
Yes.
Which means you need to be an inquisitive listener. So one of the reasons why you're going to be good at sales, or why you're already successful in sales, is because one of your strengths is that when it comes to good eye contact, or when it comes to listening, people will know that you're listening because you won't let you don't have the tendency right off the bat to cut somebody else off because you already know the answer. Okay, and I'll give you a classic example. If I was to ask your wife, are you really good with the kids when it comes to letting them explain things to you? Like, let's say, if one of your kids, has any of your kids ever had like a meltdown? You know what I mean? Like
yes.
A meltdown, I don't know what it is, a meltdown. Like my granddaughter, by the time we wake up for a nap, she's got about 6 minutes where, she's got to wake up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my 2-year-old is like that.
Yeah, and so once the 6 minutes is done and she sees something that stimulates her mind, she's all done. She's back to her normal self. So let's say when somebody, like one of your kids or somebody is trying to explain something and they're shooting 2 or 3 questions at you at a time, have you ever had like a phone call where the guy says, I want to know this, and you're just going, holy smokes, this guy's like shooting like a machine gun of questions at me. You're able to sort out those questions and able to ask questions in order to get your mind in the place where it needs to be in order for you to answer that person's question. So how does this help a salesperson? Well, one is when a customer immediately decides in his mind that you're going to listen to him, then all of a sudden the focus that you say, your words become more meaningful because you're not trying to cut the person off. You're not trying to be sharp. You've already tried 2 or 3 ways to try to to try to understand what that.
I lost your audio.
Oh,
there you are.
With that customer, okay? So what that does is that brings the customer in a little bit farther before you even start making a sale, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the sale isn't important to you at the beginning. The relationship is important to you at the beginning.
Yes.
So that's very first thing I want to show you. Now I made this a little bit larger because you're going to see an S, you're going to see a D, and then you're going to see a C after the inquirer.
Okay.
So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down. If you can scroll down to the graph, that's perfect. I'm going to make that big. And by the way, thank you for making it to where I can actually move the screen. Okay. So when you look at this, you're going to find out that there's 3 graphs right here. The left one is called the mask, and this is exactly how you want people to see you. Okay. The second one is called the stress. That's when you're closing, when you're nervous. You know, there's natural anxiety points that salesmen have. And well, one of the anxiety points is when they ask a customer the question and, you know, they can hear a no. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're asking for the sale, that's one anxiety point of a salesperson. So getting back to this, you're going to notice that your D is high on the left, which is your dominant.
Okay.
Okay. So basically what that does is when your mask says that when you're talking to a person or where you're looking at a person, you already know how to dress authoritative when you're getting ready to be professional, or you're ready to have somebody physically look at you, or you all have already asked a question to get the customer to speak to you. And this is where your strong point is in sales. You can bring the person into the sales process farther than another person that's trying to figure the guy out and does he have a sale. You don't have to worry about that at the very beginning.
Okay.
Or put it this way, according to your graph, you don't worry about that stuff at the beginning. The other thing is look at where the eye is in both the left and the middle graph, and you'll notice that it's very, very low. So the lower the eye, the less you talk.
Okay.
Then when you go to in the middle, when we go to your stress, look at where your S and your C is. So your S stays steady and your analytical stays steady as well. Okay. So what that tells me right there is that you like process.
Yes.
You may be a little bit, customers can throw you off because you could be a little bit too analytical when you stress. And that's where you can probably get confused in a sale. And I'll explain that a little bit later. It probably doesn't make any sense to you right now, so don't even worry about it. But it will in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
So you're always the listener in your sales process. So how important is that in sales?
Oh, it's important the customer just want to make sure. A lot of customers don't want to be sold. They just want to be understood and listened. And then the sale comes naturally.
Yeah. So basically what you do is if you follow the process, here's the rule of thumb when you're following a process. The farther you can take a customer through the sales process, the more desire your customer has to buy the product. Right. So whatever you sold in the past, you sold because you were able to bring the customer into the sales process farther. And so everybody who's trying to sell something has what I call a wingman or a wing person or a wing thing next to him, which means when you're out there and you're talking and you're on a sales call or you're in front of a customer, you have a sales process that's next to you that's actually working for you. And so your sales process works for you because the farther you take a customer through the sales process, the more desire. The analytical part means, and the S part, the S and the C part simply mean this, that you're steady enough to make sure to understand that the sales process is important, and you're analytical enough to say, okay, the force driving me behind this is I know statistically that I make more sales if I stay on a process.
Okay.
So you're process driven.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy, but you're process driven. and probably if you worked with a lot of other salespeople, they recognize that. So you probably went into leadership roles probably pretty quick because those are leadership qualities. I'm just
Yeah,
letting you know, probably didn't, if there was places where you could move up, you probably moved up quickly.
I did,
Yeah,
especially in the car business. Yeah.
not trying to stroke you. I'm just telling you that's where it's at. Okay. And believe me, there's some bad parts of this, this webinar as well, or coaching session. So let's go to the page. Let's go to page 5 right now.
Okay.
Okay, just move to page 5. There you go. So I'm going to blow this up real quick, and then what I want you to do is I want you to look where it says supportive workplace styles characteristics. There you go. Perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have you read these. And then when I read that, when you're done reading each number, I want you to ask me if this is a good trait that will enhance your sales, or is this something that maybe isn't really helping your sales? Okay. I'm going to make this go a little bit smaller. Okay. So go ahead and read the first one to me.
Okay, first one, it says provides a strong sense of security and grounding for others.
Okay, so would that be something that would be advantageous to your sales, or would that be a hindrance to your sales?
I think advantageous.
Totally advantageous. Number 2?
Practical in action and a no-nonsense communicator.
Okay.
I think that would be advantageous.
That is absolutely advantageous because because here's the reason why. Did you notice that you were an SDC next to your inquirer?
Yes.
Okay, so S means you're steady, but guess what? Right behind there is a D. Okay? And this reminds me of going back to your kids. There's a time when you can be a friend to your kids, am I right?
Yeah.
But there's a time when you got to be a dad. And that's where your D comes in. So in sales, there's a how can I put this? In sales, there's a time to be their friend, but there's also a time to be their guidance counselor,
Okay.
to start getting persuasive. Okay, so yes. All right, how about number 3?
Has trouble making decisions quickly.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess that could be a detriment if you, depending on the situation, but sometimes you do have to make decisions quickly, right?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of the numbers is quick on your feet, am I right? When it says quick thinker? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about number 3. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are in terms of, let's say you got a dominant customer and your boss is being dominant and you're caught right in the middle. Between 1 and 10, where do you think you are on number 3?
I'll probably say like an 8.
Okay.
7, 8.
Yeah. Okay. So this is an area we need to work with in here. So there's 2 ways to make decisions quickly. One, okay, so let me just kind of tell you how this is gonna, how I can help you at the beginning. So the analytical side to you says that a person isn't valid unless they know enough of what they're talking about. Okay, that's your analytical side. Okay, so when you don't know a product real well, it takes you a little bit longer to get up and running on your on feeling comfortable in front of a customer until you know your products.
Right.
I mean, to a T. Okay, so saying that, 2 things happen. Either you just go ahead and evolutionary wise, just learn your products as you go. However, I doubt that with you. You probably study your products like there's no tomorrow so that you'll be able to be competent enough to pitch that product, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So the way that you can handle number 3 is these new products, like right now, you know how to sell autos and you know how to sell that other insurance that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
This insurance is a little bit different than an animal, but I would say make sure that you know the answers that are coming up.
Okay.
And I think you'll be at number 1 or number 2 or number 3 will be gone. I mean, that's one of your areas that you're going to need to work on. But that's not a character flaw. It's just what it is. So like me, I don't have to know nothing about the product. I can just, I could just sell it. You can't. You've got to know about the product. That you. Here's another thing about the number 3 that you need to know too, and probably the most important thing that actually I thought was going to be the best attribute is people are going to have to go through you in order to get to the sale. With me, I just have to be on the sidelines. I can guide somebody right to the sale. You have to be involved. So I guess what I'm trying to say is,
I lost it. I lost you again.
something.
There you go.
You're not going to sell something to somebody that's inaccurate for what they need. So
Right.
your let me see, how can I put this? Your people, when they finally land on something and they buy a product from you, they're going to be satisfied for a long, long time because you took the time to investigate exactly what their needs assessment is, and you springboarded off that, and that's how come you sold. And I would say that your customer satisfaction was probably through the roof.
It was. Yeah. It's always been.
Yeah, because you take their best interest in mind when you decide you're going to work with a product.
Perfect.
Okay, so how about number 4? By the way, number 3 is easily, just like I said, just learn your product to make sure that confidence is up so that you can make an accurate estimate of what that customer's needs are for you to navigate where you need to navigate them.
Okay. See, number 4, very committed and loyal to others and to the promises they make to their team and associates.
Yeah.
Very committed. Yeah. No, I think.
Very good. Very good.
Very good.
Number 5.
Extremely supportive of other associates, not afraid to take more supportive roles. So wait, so these are these statements based on my answers?
Yes, they're based on what you most likely thought was described you and what leastly described you. So when you were doing the DISC profile, you were when the things that you were explaining were the most like you. Those are your pretty much your strong points. The ones that were least, those are the ones that we have to concentrate on because those are the ones that drive the emotion to where you are.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, that's why when you're doing a DISC, not only can we work on your strong points, which we really don't have to work on, or what we call your signature strengths.
Right.
You can work on your areas that you need to work on in order to round your. I'll give you a classic example. At 9 years old, Tiger Woods' dad decided that golf was Tiger Woods' signature strength.
Mm-hmm.
He quit his career to work with Tiger Woods.
Wow.
I don't know if you know that or not. Did you know that?
No, I did hear a story about Tiger Woods and that how his signature move was golf at a very early age because the mechanics of his body and the way he swings is very unique. And so I didn't know that his dad had quit early on, but it makes sense.
I lost your.
Oh, the audio?
I lost your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Perfect.
Yeah, I did hear that Tiger. I didn't know that his dad had quit to devote his life to Tiger's career, but I did hear that his swing is very unique, and that was his signature move. So because of the mechanics of how he moved his body and how he swung, made him a very unique player.
Yeah, and so when you have signature strengths, you learn. I don't know the exact. I can't really say the exact. I don't know the exact figure, but you learn at least twice to sometimes 7 times faster. You'll learn your signature strengths than you will your weakness. I'll give you an example. I have one of my sons that played sports, and when he got his trophy, it was for let's see, how can I put it? The best sport, or what do you call it? The best attitude or whatever. Okay, basically, he wasn't good at sports.
Right.
So he tells me, he tells me, Dad, I want to go to college and I want to play this particular sport. I don't want to tell it because if he's going to ever listen to this, which he probably will, I don't want to, let the cat out of the bag, say I have 5 kids. But he was so bad at it. I go, what you need to do is maybe, you're good in this area. So why don't you go to college and do that? And because sports wasn't his signature strength, his trophies consisted of, attitude of the year. He was just, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
So I wanted to play on his strengths. And of course he went on to that field that he got into, and he's excellent at it. He's highly regarded.
Nice.
And he's on, and he's an adult now, and he's doing great. So I already know through scientifically what your signature strengths are and then what areas you need to work on. So some of these here are your signature strengths. Some of these are some of the areas you got to work on. So yeah. So what's the next one?
6, their compassion and their empathy for others makes them people whom others confide in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I can't remember if you remember what Vince Lombardi said, but when they said, hey, they're the ones that made that the Super Bowl trophy was Vince Lombardi's idea, and they made the trophy after him. It's called the Vince Lombardi Trophy. And they asked him, what makes you win? And he goes, well, he had all these answers that were pretty dynamic. But the last answer is you got to know you got to have empathy. You got to know how your players feel. And so your thing is, one of your attributes is you show empathy when you're working with a customer, and they pick up on that. And then when they pick up on that, they want to draw to you.
Yeah.
And so what happens when they draw to you is you gain trust, and you gain credibility. And those are the 2 most important things to gain. Okay.
Very nice.
And so you become a friend. And so I have the saying, and you can use this and tell anybody if you want after this, but friends tell friends more than customers tell salespeople. So do you want to be their friend, or do you want to be their salesperson?
Well, no, I want to be their friend for sure, because they'll be customers for life at that point.
And that's your natural attribute. That is your natural attribute. That's why you're successful. What's the next number?
Humble leaders who are not high maintenance, but usually do the maintaining of others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that.
I think that's you to a T. Remember, I've known you for 13 years.
Yeah.
Or at least I met you 13 years ago. I haven't known you for the last 10, but.
Yeah.
Next one.
Number 8, highly responsible managers who are great at multitasking.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to have 2 or 3 or 4, or sometimes even 5 quotes going at one time. So that makes you good, because you have learned when you can multitask like that. That's called triaging your customers. So I don't know if you remember in the BDC, or when you were talking how you have hot leads, warm leads, and cold leads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your mind already knows how to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember that was I think that was one of the core I guess sort of my boot camp for sales, because I had to learn very quickly how to follow processes and how to stick by them, and then how to teach them to others, and making sure that we got everything done in the most efficient order. And
yeah, and you're good at that. So let's say you get 3 or 4 or 5 clients. You won't get overwhelmed. You'll have a temperature in each one of your clients. And so when they do call you back or whatever, you're going to be able to meet them at their point of need. So they're going to feel like it's just you and that person. You're not going to have that overwhelmed feeling if you're multitasking. Very important when you're selling, especially if you start when you start scaling your business, where you really want to start getting big. You already have processes in place in your mind where you're going to be able to scale this. And so you can be able to excel at scales. You'll be able to scale your business to where you can be doing more than the average salesperson without little or more effort. I'll give you a class example. Like there's a guy that's selling cars and he sells 100 cars a month.
Wow.
100 cars a month. Okay, and he's still selling at this Honda store. Yet he has time to go do videos and he does coat drives. I mean, it's he deals out of abundance. He's probably got a guy right next to him selling 10 cars, and the guy's a nervous wreck because he can't handle the 10 sales. So you have the ability to scale up in your sales.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And what's the next one?
9 works to keep systems and circumstances unchanged, steady, and predictable.
When I saw that analytical side, I knew you were a process man.
Yeah.
So, there's a saying, it says the worst process is better than the best chaos.
I've never heard that. But that's
I've had companies go, I want to go from here to here. And I says, okay, but you're going to explode. Well, what do you mean? You have no process and you're barely handling what you're doing. I know you can do more. The market says you can do more, but your processes aren't in place.
Mm-hmm.
And so your processes are already in place. So you can handle the scale up. You know what the biggest problem in this is? I wish I would have gotten a hold of you 10 years ago instead of right now, because I think this is the first time somebody is actually telling you, a third party's telling you using a scientific method that you can actually do it. One of the ways I exceeded in sales, I hate to say this, but I was a young punk at one time. I think I started sales when I was 20 years old. And I remember when I got fired, and then I got a call from a guy, and his name was Dewey McDaniels. I don't even know where he's at. This is back in 1977 or 78, and he was 55, so I'm sure he's not around anymore. But one time he pulled me in his office, and I had a great dad, but I never needed my father to help me excel. Or at least he didn't speak like that. He was great, and I had a great relationship. But Dewey McDaniel sat me down, he looked me straight in the eyes, and he said, Walt, you can do this. And then he went on to explain what I could do. And then I thought to myself, well, when I left the room, I believed him, and I went out and I did it. But until somebody could tell me I could do it, I didn't know. That's why you need to invest in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What's the next one?
10, high need to feel appreciated and needed by others in the organization.
Probably why you like commission sales. Because guess how you get rewarded?
Getting paid.
Getting paid. That's your trophy.
Yeah. Who was it? Somebody was saying, there's this guy that I listen to sometimes, and he says he was one of those guys that was part of that book, The Secret, and he says getting paid is getting money is for services rendered. So if you want to get more money, just serve more people. And
that's it. Serve more people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you hunt or fish or anything like that?
I don't, but we're actually talking about starting fishing with the kids.
Yeah. Well, I don't hunt or fish either, but when a hunter gets when we get a sale or when we get a big paycheck to a salesperson, that's like, I guess, a guy getting a 5-pointer deer or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we get our rewards that way. You're not going to see me at 4 a.m. going duck hunting with those guys. I'd rather go make a sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get up at 8 or whatever. Okay. What's the next one?
11, becomes overly passive with more aggressive styles.
Okay.
I don't know if that could be good. I don't know if it's good.
It's not good. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are? 1 being, that's not even me, or 10, that's like total me. Where are you in that area?
Probably kind of in the middle.
5. Okay.
So I have had a handful of clients and coworkers that I remember to this day because of their aggressiveness of dealing with people. And I sort of just kind of became, not passive, definitely, to keep the peace and to keep things going. But that was the only way that I could deal with those people. I just, I didn't want to butt heads with them at the time, just to keep the peace.
Yeah. Yeah. So how this can work for you is that, okay, so first of all, we all get under stress. We all get anxiety when a point comes up where we don't know if we can handle it or whatever. It's unknown. We get it all the time. So when we get to that point where that customer is not following the sales process, do you ever remember a guy named he died in a plane crash? The phone trainer, Grant.
Mm.
Oh, come on. Anyway, he was doing phone scripts and he was doing a live phone script with us. And the lady asked him, "Are you following a phone script?" And he goes, "Yeah, I am, ma'am, but you're not following yours very good." That's oh my gosh, you know the guy. What's his name? He did the phone training.
Um,
Alan Ram.
Alan Ram. Oh, really? He died?
Yeah, he died of a plane crash probably 3 years ago. He was flying to a conference in San Diego and took a
Oh,
nosedive. Died. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that. Alan Ram. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he talked about that story. So basically, what happens is one of your stumbling blocks that could stop you from selling cars is the fact that if people don't fall into if they don't fall into your sales path, then you can have a problem with that. And then all of a sudden, this is when you start showing resistance or inflexibility and stubbornness. It doesn't even need to be towards them. It could be just the way you do this, or maybe your talking starts getting more standoffish.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, those are one of the things we'll work on with you with. By the time your second session is done, you won't have any problems because we can identify the problems and work on them now.
You know,
So
one thing that I have learned, and I'm talking to other people in the industry too, is there are certain people that if they're resistant and if they have attitudes and if they have just their personality it's abrasive and they just want things a certain way, and no matter what you do to try and explain or overcome, down the road they're still going to be, even if you get them as a client, down the road they're still going to be a pain in the ass.
yeah,
So I am choosing to not work with people that are like that.
yeah,
Period. I don't. I may not make that commission, but you know what? Then I won't have to deal with them down the road and have the headaches. Um,
yeah.
so
Okay, so here's your fork in the road. Here's the fork in the road. So branding, have you ever discovered any type of branding at all? Branding yourself, or um, uh, have you started going down that road where you're starting to brand yourself and get
not yet.
your own? Okay, so when you start branding yourself, one of the things you're going to find out is the better you get at branding yourself, the smaller the scope of people you have to work with. Because what you're doing is once you're a master brander, once you've branded yourself and you've mastered it,
Mm.
you're going to find out that you can make a living just off the people that you attract.
Yeah.
I
That
mean, I
makes.
got this dealer that I know that his branding is so specific that his advertising, his TV advertising, he makes you make a decision if you like him or not on the TV.
Okay.
And I always when I'm training with his salespeople, I always go like this: if you were in a restaurant and you mentioned this guy's name and said stand up if you knew this guy's name, he's brands himself so much that everybody in the restaurant would stand up, and if he in this town. And then if I would say, okay, whoever can't stand him, would you sit down? Half the restaurant would sit down. The other half would stand up, and that's all he needs in that area to make a living, basically.
That's
Right.
funny.
So, yeah. So that's one way. Although, if you're not branded just quite yet, that might not be the road to go. And eventually, you can get that way. So the only way you can grow is to now discover why you're that way, and if you can go ahead and you have to open your scope to be able to handle all sorts of people,
Okay.
even the people that you don't like to work with. So has anybody actually helped you with sat you down and actually explained to you how to walk through a stubborn customer, at all?
I mean, back in the car business, that's why you turn people, right? Because every
Yeah,
personality is different. So
yeah.
I rather get a piece of
Most
something
successful
and
people had the less. Did you notice that your most successful people on the boards had the less turns? They almost always had full deals.
yeah,
Okay, well, that's what we're going to teach you now. We're going to teach you how to open up your scope so that we'll be giving you methods and techniques that'll actually help you with people that are stubborn. I mean, I was thinking even in the car business, I remember people going, "I don't even care if you die, eat crap and die. I just want this thing for 34 grand out the door." Okay, you don't like those people. They don't fall in your category. Well, we're going to show you how to actually move through those people using empathy and getting them on your side even more. Because guess what? That's a roadblock, and we need to make that a road sign. So instead of a roadblock, we're going to go ahead and open that up and say, "Hey, there's the way to the sale." And by the way, when we do the second coaching session, it's going to be so easy. You're going to go. Have you ever just like discovered something and go, "Damn, I wish I would have known that 10 years ago."
yeah, yeah.
That's what it's going to be like. That, by the way, that's an easy fix.
Okay.
And what's really cool is once you learn it, you get to teach it to other salespeople. That's what's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, I think
So
the goal once we have all this, the cool thing about Ned's company is that all their processes, as far as moving the client through the sale and the enrollment process and the onboarding process, all of those processes are perfect. They have everything down to a T. But he's never really had a salesperson before. So me asking him a lot of questions about, okay, what do you do here? Or do you have this in place? Or what do I say to this person if I talk to? So it's we're creating a sales process as we go, which then is going to, hopefully in a couple of years, maybe we have, a team of 3, 5, 10 people that now I'm coaching and helping to grow the company.
that's what he said. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. So, I got to let you know, Ned, although he's he sells a lot and he's made quite a good living for himself, and he's got several employees and he's growing, and he gets to spend a month with his family in Hawaii, is because of his persistence,
Hmm.
not because of his salesmanship. I'll talk to you about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
He just did what he was told to do to a T, and he didn't let his emotion get involved. And he's a whole other. He's another person that's another fascinating person. And
So
so, what's the last one?
a great listener as well as patient with frustrating issues.
Okay. Now, notice that 12 and 13. Watch this. Notice they conflict.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a reason why 12 and 13 conflict, because one has to do with your supportive workplace style. Look at the very top where it says supportive workplace style characteristics.
Mm.
But
Okay.
so that's number 13. So number 12, it has directly to do with the customer, or let's say your coworkers that aren't like up to your standards, up to your analytical standards.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you start playing a leadership role, you're going to get frustrated with people. Didn't you get frustrated with people? You go, have you ever told somebody something, you walk away and go, "God, man, how many times I got to tell this guy?" That's
Yeah.
where your frustration lies.
I had a lot of salesmen like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you get into a leadership role, then of course you'll be doing leadership counseling or coaching with me as well. And we'll actually get into those issues, but I would imagine that's a year down the line.
Yeah.
You got a lot to learn, and you got to get your sales up and know this part of the industry.
For sure.
Okay. So, what we did right here is we identified your strengths and areas you need to work on. So what I need you to do is I'm going to wait about another week, and we're going to do another coaching session. and we're going to start getting into practical problem solving on the numbers that we think we need some work on.
Okay.
Now, having said that, have you ever heard of write this down. I need you to Google this when we're done. It's called the Johari window, Jahari window. Did you write that down?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it talks about the 4 parts of your brain, but one of the parts of your brain is called the blind spot. The blind spot is where everybody knows something about you, but you don't know it. And so these are your some of these areas in here are your blind spots that so what we did is we made them aware.
Got it.
Here's a classic example. It's kind of a stupid example, but if a wife goes up to her husband and says, honey, I don't know what's going on at work or whatever, but you've been yelling at the kids lately. And then all of a sudden the husband goes, no, I'm not. He's literally displaying his blind spot, but he still can't see it. So some of these areas that you saw here could be blind spots that you're now being revealed. So now that they're open, we get to work on them.
Okay.
And so this week, I just want you to absorb what we talked about. Listen to this video one more time. Go over those traits. The best thing that you can do tonight or sometime in the next couple of days is to literally get down here and read every single page with your wife. And I'm telling you, get a glass of wine. You guys are going to have a good time.
Okay.
She's probably going to say, I've been telling you this for years.
Yeah, this will be interesting. I think she will definitely get a kick out of it for sure.
Yeah. And then write this down too.
Okay.
The 5 love languages. Have you ever heard of that?
So we have read the book. We're actually reading it again. And we did the exercise again after being together for 4 years, and our love languages have changed in the when we did it the first time to now, and then we also do there is a daily devotional also. The 5 love languages has a daily devotional you read it. Yeah, we love that book.
Dude, so cool you're working on your marriage, and that is so cool, man.
Yeah, no,
Well, anyway, so this ends our coaching session, and I just want to let you know that when I said, hey, when Ned said, hey, I want you to, diss this guy, and then he told me what your name is, I go, oh my God, I couldn't wait to get that out to you. And of course, as you know, I couldn't wait to talk to you. Just, awesome. Yeah, and man, I'm just telling you, I'm just so looking forward to working alongside you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you betcha, brother.
Thank you so
much.
All
right, this ends. Okay, let me go ahead and finish off here. Okay, so this ends this first coaching session after the Just Personality Profile was taken by Obeth Davila. We're going to reconvene again next week, and we're going to go over how to handle these areas that he just needs to work on. One of the areas he said he was an 8. The other area he said he was a 5. Hey, as long as it's not a 10, we can handle this. So we can bring those both all the way down to between 0 and 2 in the next session. So this is Walt Dabrowski with Sales Fire. I'm checking out, and thanks, Obeth. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right, I'm signing off.